Hey community, how are you? Jenenne Macklin here. There I am, transformational speaker, your wealth guide and catalyst. How are you? I haven't been on in a few days, so that won't work. But I thought I'd hop on here to say something about this particular tip and this particular truth. And that is there's this, I don't even know if it's an energy. Maybe it's more of a conversation. And let me know when you come on if you can hear me. I'm figuring you can. The mask, if anything, may just muffle it a little bit. So can you hear me? Just let me know. Give me a thumbs up. So ooh, that's pretty. Wow, look at this. I'm sorry. Look at the clouds. Now what's so pretty about it is those clouds are basically sitting on the mountains, so you can't even see all of the mountains. Okay, so let's get down to the Thursday tip. And the thing is, for me, one of the biggest energies on the planet, one of the biggest struggles that most people have has been with a 4-letter word. And if I asked you what it was, could you put it below? I don't even know if I can see you guys, but if I said there was a 4-letter word that was creating challenges for people at this point in time, what would that 4-letter word be? Is it fear? Because I can't see if you're responding or not. But that's probably the biggest thing right now on the planet. More than anything else is the tendency for us to so quickly and so easily move into fear. And if I ask you what you're afraid of, put it below. What are you afraid of? I just want to know. I don't want to jump to conclusions. Can you hear me? How come I can't tell if you're here or not? Fear. So tell me, what are you afraid of? What's your fear? I don't want to fill in the blank for you. Is it dying? Is it not having a job? Is it being sick and managing it? Is it you have parents that may be sick and you're worried about them? Is it that you won't have a roof over your head? What's your fear? What are you afraid of? I can't speak for you because I don't have a whole lot of fear, but I want to know what you're holding, what you're allowing to take up space in your consciousness here, in your thinking, and in your heart, your power center. And you may feel it even down here in your solar plex. And how does that feel for you to be in fear? How does that feel for you to be in fear? To live in that, to think about it, to worry about it, to be stuck in it. Because to me, the image I get right quick is like being in oil and you're sludging through the oil because it's just so thick to get through it. What is it for you? What does the fear feel like for you? Are you just stuck? Are you just stuck in it? Not sure what to do, where to go? Or is your fear on automatic pilot, like it is for many of us? Well, I don't know if you'll join me this Sunday or not. I'm going to do an inspirational message on moving from fear, because it's that big, to your faith and tapping into your faith. And some friends and I are going to hop on and give you some thoughts and ideas about it. But I want to ask you now, in this moment, on this day, at this time, what are you doing with your fear? If it is fear, How are you navigating it? And then what are you afraid of? And then if you walk it out, what do you think is going to happen? What are you telling yourself? What are the stories that you're telling yourself as it relates to fear? Because what I realize is what you say to yourself is what yourself will believe. What you say to yourself is what becomes your reality. So put it below. Let me see. What is it you're saying to yourself? And of what you're saying to yourself, is it helpful? Is it keeping you positive? Is it keeping you positive? Is it keeping you uplifted? Or do you find that it really drags on your energy and really is depleting your energy? One of the things I want you to realize and understand is so often fear becomes our go-to. The coronavirus, we're in fear. Tax changes, we're in fear. Potential political election, in fear. It's like fear becomes that one thing that we go to. But what I want you to understand is, or maybe that'll help. Fear is a programming. And the more we think about it, the more we concentrate on it, the more we focus on it, the more we allow that energy within our heart to just wrap around it and nurture it, the longer it stays. And the more powerful it is. Now, fear really isn't that powerful unless we give it the power, unless we give it the control. And if you join me on Sunday, one of the things I realized this week in prayer and meditation is you've forgotten some things about how powerful and amazing you are. You've forgotten your ability to weather the storms of life. You've forgotten how magnificent you are. You've forgotten that your circumstances don't have to define the value of who you are on this planet and the gift that you are on this planet. You've forgotten just how magnificent you are. That if we're here on this planet right now, and we are, then there's a reason that you're here and that you matter. Now, what do you do with that? So I just want to remind you in this moment, and if you join me on Sunday, that fear is robbing you of something amazing that you've forgotten about yourself. That you matter, that you're significant, that you're needed and necessary on this planet. So the question becomes, how do you shut fear down? How do you shut it down so that it's not sapping your energy? Because fear is heavy. I mean, when you're in it, just recently, for the first time in this whole process, I had an energy of fear move through me. And when it hit, I was like, oh no, you can't stay. This is too much. And so I felt it, and then it passed. But if you're not aware of how to move the fear, it can zap you. You can find yourself tired, wanting to sleep, maybe even be depressed because you're holding on to it. When it's not really, okay, what we got going on here? That powerful unless we give it the power. Because see, it's not like you can touch fear. It's not like something that runs up in your face and you can fight it or beat it. It's invisible. And because it's invisible, it's so easy to be unconscious about it. And so easy to be unconscious about the fact that we're the one that's stirring the pot when it comes to fear. Now, we have the acronym, right? False evidence appearing real. So why does it appear real to you? And I know you can say, well, Jenenne, everybody out here is sick and everybody out here is dying, but that's a part of life. People have always been sick on this planet. People have always died on this planet. Maybe not in America, and maybe we were, I won't say selfish, but so caught up in ourselves that we didn't realize in other countries, people have been dying all the time. In other countries, there have been large masses of people for whatever reason. So how come it's scaring you now? Because it's in the United States? So long as it was over there with the other countries, it was fine. But when it got here, now you're concerned? So then tell me this. How well is that working for you? Being in fear. How well is it working for you? 1, answer that for yourself. 2, answer this. What are you doing that continually keeps you in fear? Because see, we can get out of fear. Fear will move if we don't give it our attention. But what are you doing that continually keeps you in fear? This is what I want you to do. Hold on. I know this one fell, and this is the one to tell you you can hear me. So what's what I want you to do? I want you to write down what you're fear of. Just write it down. I'm afraid this. I fear this will happen. I fear that'll happen. I fear that'll happen. Now, when you do that, notice how you feel on the inside when you write all that down. Whether it's even true or not, just notice how you feel on the inside. Because see, part of this virus for me is you maintaining a high vibration, you being positive, you basically, like I used to do, surrounding yourself with a powerful energy of white light, and then holding a consciousness of wholeness, of perfection, and knowing that you're taking the steps to protect yourself, which is the good part. That's on the outside. But where yourself is going to need the support is that you support it from the inside, that you support it with your thinking. Because in the end, when you think about it, fear is simply a conversation that you have going on in your head. So what will it take for you to change the conversation? What will it take? I mean, it's just that simple. It's a conversation that you have in your head. We all have them about different things. So how do you check it, stop it, and reframe it? Because then that will allow you to feel more powerful. Because here's the other piece. There's a tendency to want to be in control. Does that resonate for anybody? Can I get a high five down there? Yes, yes. Let me know. So you may feel like since you're not in control of what's going on, that you have no power. But let me remind you, you are the one that controls you. Now, there's a tendency often to want to control everything else and everybody else. But what each of us get to do is to control ourselves. We get to control what we think. And then, from there, what we think then basically determines how we act, how we respond, and how we feel. So, what are you saying to yourself that could be scaring you? And if you can identify it and write it down, what can you say to yourself that would at least uplift you? Because part of navigating the virus for me has been not to be in fear, has been to stand in faith. That may be easier for some than others, but that's what your focus could be on. How do I stand in greater faith instead of giving my power to fear thoughts, fear, worry, scaring myself? And what do you come up with? What do you do to keep yourself aligned with the goals you say you have for your life and your family, aligned with the goals that you want to see the end results in your life? We're going to pass this. This is going to pass in another month or two. And in that month or two, I don't want you to be one of the people that say, God, I could have been doing this while I was off, but I was so distracted and worried, I didn't even think about it. What else could you be doing that you've always wanted to do that you can now do, but you're distracted by fear? What else can you focus on that you always wanted to do, but now you're distracted by fear and not using the time that you do have to do that? If you're afraid you won't have a job, what are the skills and talents that you do have that you need to look at now to see if you can cultivate something out of that that will allow you to create maybe your own job going forward? I just want you to think about it, because so often fear is just on automatic. It's just a program that runs. And I always tease people when I'm talking, because how I can tell it is because I'll hear people say, oh my God, oh no. That feeling right there is nothing but fear and shock. It's like, oh no, is that going to happen to me? oh my. And there's a feeling of, I'm not in control. But to a degree, we're all in control of the virus as it impacts us individually. We have been given directions. We have been given guidelines. We have been given curfews, restrictions. Now it's up to us to follow them. And oftentimes, because we're so independent, we just want to do what we want to do. So if you're in fear of that, that just requires that we follow the guidelines we've been given. But once you get past that, what other fears are there? And if there aren't any other fears, then step into, probably for the next 6 weeks, what is it that you always said that you wanted to do in your life that you didn't have time to do, and you have the time now? What was that? And what will it take for you to focus your energy on that, so that your heart feels fulfilled, so that your overall spirit stays strong as we go through this process? How do you feed your spirit? How do you feed your soul? Is it music? Is it comedy? Is it writing? Is it singing? Is it dancing? Is it walking in nature? Is it cooking? Is it sewing? Is it knitting? Is it actually playing an instrument? What is it that you do to nurture your soul and your spirit? Because that's part of what we're being called to look at. How do you take care of yourself when everything around you seems to be falling apart? Because in the end, it's on us. We're at home with our families. No one's coming in on a regular basis to say, hey, Jenenne, do this, or hey, Karen, do this, or hey, Angela, do this. No, we're the ones that are now in charge. And it's funny how we want to have control, but you do have control over you, over your family, over your choices that you make. So the question becomes, where are you putting your power for you to feel like you don't have control, and what choices are you choosing to make? And are they conscious choices? Or are you on automatic pilot? You know me, I'm always going up some hill somewhere. I saw something and it said, don't let your pajamas fool you. And that's true, because if you're in pajamas all day long, when it comes time for you to go back to work or something, you put on the clothes and like, I gained some weight. So yeah, I always make it a little bit difficult for me. But that's what I want you to look at. When you don't think you have control, you do have control. You do have power. You have control over you. Now, so often, you want to be in control of everybody else. You want to tell your kids what to do, tell your husband what to do, tell your wife what to do, tell neighbors what to do, and tell your friends what to do. Hey, take all that energy and focus on you. How do you nurture your spirit in difficult times and not looking outside of yourself? What do you shift internally for the external results that you want to see in your life, whatever that is? And that you can choose, that you have power over, that you have control over. So Sunday, 11 a.m. Pacific time, from fear to faith, it's a journey to fearless living. Some friends and I are getting together. Now, when I say friends, I had a community center for 15 years, I believe. I didn't run it by myself. I started because God put a calling on my heart to create a different spiritual space for people. I've always been big about bringing people together. The thing about this country, about America, is really built on separation. So there's so many structures and things in place that really are put in place to separate us. So I created a church, a spiritual center for everyone to come, no matter their race, no matter their religion, no matter their beliefs, because I was teaching these principles to unite people. So some of my members have gone on, they've become ministers, they're working in their churches, and I said, hey gang, you want to come back and help me bring some joy, bring some faith, or activate some faith? And they said, sure. And then I reached out to my other friends on the East Coast and said, could they join me? So if you want to join us, you're more than welcome. 11 o'clock on Sunday, we'll be on Zoom. We've got music. Of course, we're going to surround you in affirmative prayer, powerful affirmations. We're going to do a circle of releasing that fear. And then we're going to do a celebration of light and send that energy out into the planet because we have the power to do that. We have the power to impact this planet. I was on Facebook the other day, so annoyed by the fact that we have this incredible platform and all we want to do is talk negative about the conspiracy, about toilet paper, about how ignorant people are, how stupid people are. I'm like, that's the best we have at this time of crisis for some? No. Let's spread some joy. I mean, what would Facebook platform be like if on one day everybody posted something positive the whole entire day? Can you imagine what shift that would make? Anyway, those are some of the non-traditional thoughts that I have. But I just know we can have a greater impact than what we're doing right now. So I just do my little part. So for you, look at what your fear is. Write it down. Understand what the fear is. Recognize you do have control. You get to have control over what you think and what you do and do not do. That's very powerful for you right now. No matter what's happening in the world, you get to make that choice for you, your family, in your home. And what are the choices you're making? I'll put the information down below. You can sign up. I've allowed 2 hours just in case we need to talk or whatever for the service on Sunday. But what I do know, in the times that I was in fear, and boy, was I in fear. It was a difficult situation with my son and his other parent. And I remember being in so much fear. It had me laying on the floor in tears. And a coach called me and she said, get up. She's like, get up. She wasn't even spiritual. She was just my coach and I really loved her. And she told me, get up. She's like, you have work to do. So maybe somebody needs to hear that from us on Sunday. Maybe we need to stand together and say to whoever shows up on the call, we got you. We're in this together. We can do this together. Because maybe somebody needs to be told to get up off the floor. Maybe somebody needs to be told, stand up, you got this. Even if your knees are knocking and the tears are streaming down your face, you got this. You don't give up. You don't give in. You stand. So if any of that resonates for you, any of that would be of support to you, I'll put the link later on today for you to register. Until then, recognize you can choose. You do have power. Stop saying, I don't have any power, I don't have any control. You have power and control over the most important thing, and that most important thing is you and your mindset. That's what's going to help you. That's what's going to sustain you. That's what's going to help you keep putting one foot in front of the other on this journey. Take good care. I'm not sure if I'm doing it right or wrong. I don't see responses. I don't see comments. I saw somebody's thumbs up. So if you put some comments below, I'll look at them and respond to them later on. In the meantime, what are you doing? Let me know that too. This is my morning walk. I'll go back and fix some breakfast for my son. He's out of school. He's out on Easter break already. That leaves us with 10 days to go. School was easy, 8 to 4. What are we going to do now? We'll come up with something. Monopoly, a whole lot of different things. So know that you're not by yourself. Know that you're not in this alone. And know that we will get through it. Know that you have the power to make choices in your life. So be conscious about the choices you make and value that power to make a choice. In the meantime, remember this. Inhale. Exhale. Say thank you, doggone it, because some people can't breathe. Bye for now. Take good care. Sorry about that.